Once upon a time, there lived two very inseparable friends, Sarah and Sandra. Then sadly, Sandra died while giving birth, leaving behind two twins whom no one was willing to race. But Sarah, willing to honor her friend's memory and her promise, accepted the rejected children as her own. Despite the hardship, despite the mockery, she was determined to not allow society define her. And in the end, it was marvelous because what these kids did for her, the world was yet to comprehend. It must have seemed like Sarah was dreaming with how her life and that of her kids had transformed, but with every breaking day, the reality seemed to settle in. She had moved from the woman who hugged tomatoes under the sun, carrying two kids along with her to the mother of two superstars. Those who insulted and made a mockery of her before now tried to seek her attention, but Sarah wasn't going to let them in. Travis and Tracy, meanwhile, even after leaving the States, continued to strive in their own country, though they still went on tours in different countries all over the world. Just when the world thought they had seen enough of the twins, they kept climbing new heights. Though this was only the calm before the storm, because just as their lives had become peaceful, not everyone was happy to see it that way. Sandra's mother fumed angrily for the third time as she tried Sarah's number, but to no avail. It had been 3 months since she last spoke to Sarah, and since after that she couldn't contact her again. "You should let them be, Teresa. We wronged them. We rejected our own grandchildren and allowed a mere stranger to take care of them. We have no right over them again," Sandra's father said while drinking some palm wine from his wooden cup. His voice held regret. They were now very old with no children or grandchildren to look after them. "I won't do that. Do you mean we should continue living in abject poverty while Sarah enjoys all that life has to offer?" Sandra's mother asked angrily. "So what do you plan to do then?" "We might ask for their forgiveness, and if we one day manage to get it, that should be enough." "Well, I'm not comfortable with having only their forgiveness. Why should I live like a church rat in this village when I have billionaire grandchildren in the city?" Sandra's mother asked. The news was all over the village. Everyone was mocking them for living in a dilapidated house, while Sarah, a mere stranger, slept in a mansion. "First thing tomorrow, I will go to the city and pay my grandkids a visit. I won't allow that witch to enjoy what is rightfully mine." The next morning, Sarah and the twins were having their breakfast at the table when they heard something outside. When Sarah was going to ask what was happening, one of the guards approached them. "Ma'am, I'm sorry to disturb you, but there's someone outside waiting to see you." Sarah and the twins frowned. "Who is it?" Sarah asked. "It's an elderly woman. We tried to send her away, but she kept making a scene. She claims she's a relative, the grandmother of the twins." Sarah's eyes instantly flared in anger, then she took a look at Tracy, who continued with their meal as if they hadn't heard what was said. "I'll go see myself," Sarah replied, giving them a soft smile. "Mom," Tracy called, making Sarah stop to look at her. "We don't want anything to do with her," she stated calmly but firm. Sarah nodded in understanding. As the guard had stated earlier, Sarah saw the woman she hadn't seen in a long time. There were 2 guards ready to send her out, but the woman looked like she was not going to leave. "I thought I made things clear the last time we spoke, Teresa," Sarah said coldly, hands folded beneath her chest. She had no respect left for the people who had thrown away their own blood. "Sarah," Teresa called, running towards Sarah for a hug, but Sarah was quick to step back. Teresa went on her knees. "I know what we did is despicable, and we are sorry for it. I don't mind if they never acknowledge us as their grandparents. All we want is a chance to ask for their forgiveness," Teresa said pleadingly. Sarah looked down at the woman. "As much as I want to do this for the sake of Sandra and the twins, whom I don't want to carry resentment within them, I'm sorry, but this is not the right time. They do not wish to have anything to do with your family. You should let them decide when they wish to see you." "Please leave us be," Sarah stated, turning to move back inside the house. "No, Sarah." "Sarah, just let me see them," Teresa shouted as the guards helped her out of the gate. "Is she gone, Mom?" Travis asked. "I hope so." Sarah replied softly. "Don't worry, I'll make sure she doesn't bother us again," she added with a reassuring smile. Though Travis and Tracy made it seem like they didn't care, she could see how uncomfortable they had become. Later that evening, Sarah sat alone in the living room watching TV. It was already dark, and the kids were yet to return from a birthday party in which they had been invited to perform. so she sat waiting for them as she usually did. "Ma'am," the same bodyguard who had come to announce Teresa's presence called, approaching her. "Yes, Lucas, is there any problem?" Sarah asked, seeing how hesitant the man looked. "The lady earlier, she hasn't left." "What?" Sarah asked with a deep frown, following the guard out of the house. "What are you doing, Teresa? Do you think by behaving like this you will make things better?" Sarah asked, seeing the woman sitting by the corner. She had a faded wrapper around her to cover her up from the cold and her little worn-out bag to serve as a pillow. Was she really going to sleep out here? Sarah asked herself. "Please, Sarah, just let me see them," Teresa said, shivering from the impact of the cold. Sarah folded her hands in a fist. She couldn't allow the woman to spend the night out here, no matter how angry she was. She didn't have it on her. "Let her in," Sarah told the guard, walking back inside. "You can make use of this room for the night, but first thing tomorrow morning I will have someone drive you to the bus station," Sarah stated, and without a word, she closed the door of the guest room, leaving Teresa alone. Teresa's eyes widened in shock as she explored the room and everything in it. It was the same look she had when she had stepped inside of the house, but she tried to hide it while Sarah was around. The bed was soft. The room itself smelt good. "So this is what Sarah has been enjoying while I and my husband sleep in a house made of mud and a leaking roof," she hissed angrily. Now that she had succeeded in entering the house, there was no way she would allow Sarah to kick her out. She had come prepared. She would make sure Sarah wouldn't have a place in this house and in her grandchildren's life again. The next day, Teresa's plans were set in motion. Tracy and Travis were having breakfast when they saw her walk towards them. "Good morning, dearies." The smile that Tracy and Travis had while discussing quickly fell upon seeing the owner of the voice. They had never met the woman before, but they could tell it was their grandmother. "I thought she left already. Who let you inside?" Tracy asked angrily, getting up to her feet. "Why are you here?" Travis asked even before Teresa could get a chance to plead. She needed a place to sleep, but rest assured she will be leaving soon. Sarah, who had just entered to join the rest, said, "I know no amount of apologies will be able to win your forgiveness, but still I wish to ask for your forgiveness. I'm sorry for not taking care of you like I should have," Teresa said, amidst tears. Tracy rolled her eyes. "Did you come seeking forgiveness now because of how we have ended up? If we were still those abandoned kids on the streets, would you have come looking for us?" she asked. "Yes," Teresa replied, lying smoothly through her tongue. "Your grandfather and I regret what we did. We went looking for you two, but Sarah had already left the village and no one knew her whereabouts." "I won't be having breakfast. I've lost my appetite," Travis said, getting ready to leave the space. "Kids," Sarah called softly, gently holding their hands. "Believe me, I understand that more than anyone else, this hurts you guys the most. But I don't want you to carry hate in your hearts. It's all right if you can't forgive your grandparents now, it's your own decision. I'm really sorry for what I did. If your mum was here, I know she would protect you people from me, because that's what I deserve," Teresa added again, this time breaking down in more tears. It took some seconds of silence. Then Tracy was the first to approach and hug her, and lastly Sarah. "We forgive you, Grandma," Travis said too, holding his tears back. "Thank you," Teresa whispered back. "Please join us for breakfast." Sarah gestured to the seat at the other end of the table. "Sarah, is it fine with you if I went tomorrow instead? I'm not feeling too well, possibly from the cold," Teresa asked, and Sarah nodded affirmatively. "I'll get some medications for you too." Later that afternoon, Sarah stepped out, heading to the market to buy some groceries. Teresa saw her chance. She went to the kitchen, filled 3 glasses with juice, then making sure no one was watching, she untied her wrapper and removed a white substance, then dropped some inside 2 glasses of juice. "Dearies, I know it's hot, and you might need something refreshing." She placed the tray in front of Travis and Tracy, who were sitting inside the garden trying to compose a new song. Tracy and Travis looked at the drinks, then back at each other. "Thank you, Grandma, but we don't need anything cold right now," Tracy politely stated. Seeing the doubt, Teresa picked her own glass and took a seat beside them. She chuckled. "It seems like you took that from your mum. She wasn't actually friends with icy things." Hearing Sandra's name, Tracy became intrigued as she took her own glass from the table. Travis followed suit. "Do you mind telling us about our mom, Grandma?" Mom already told us some about her, but we want to hear from you too. Of course. Teresa smiled widely, not because of their request, but because her plan was sure to work by tomorrow. The next morning, Teresa woke up with a satisfied smile on her face. She went to the living room, switched on the TV, and crossed her legs, sipping a glass of coffee. Teresa, I thought you were preparing to leave, or will you be staying for a while? Sarah asked with a frown, taking the woman's appearance. Teresa ignored her as if she hadn't heard a thing. We decided that Grandma should stay here for a while, Travis said. Sarah's frown deepened, not because she was against it. Somehow she didn't fully trust Teresa. What changed your mind? She asked the two twins. It's our house. We decide who stays and who doesn't. Stop bothering our grandmother, Tracy replied sharply, barely holding her glare. Sarah was stunned. Did Tracy just speak to her like that? Since when did you become rude to speak to me that way? Sarah asked. Teresa laughed, standing up to her feet to meet Sarah. And who are you that my granddaughter wouldn't speak to any how she wants? You heard them right. Now I suggest you make yourself useful by making breakfast for us, she said coldly. Sarah looked at the twins, who were now seated with their legs crossed, watching TV, then slowly went to the kitchen. She tried to wrap her head on what had just happened, but just let it slide. Maybe she had offended the kids, but Sarah was wrong. That day was only the beginning of something else she had never seen. 3 days later, Sarah woke up to no maids in the house, and when she asked, I fired all of them. What's the need of wasting my grandchildren's money while you're here? What's your job in this house? To eat money that doesn't belong to you? The elderly woman asked. But Mama. Shut up. My grandchildren accepted this. Henceforth, if there's anything needed to be done, you will use your own hands to do it unless you want to get kicked out of this house. See to it that the living room is clean, the flowers in the garden need some trimming, and after that, go to my room and pick up my dirty clothes. I want everything washed and dried up before the sun sets. Mama, I'm not a maid. I can do all that without you treating me like this. You should have at least kept a single maid in the house to help too. Slap. How dare you talk back to me? Do you think we are mates? Teresa asked angrily. Grandma, what's going on? Who's stressing you up? Travis quickly rushed to Teresa's side. Is it not this stupid woman? She's very lazy. All she does in this house is eat your hard-earned money. You should take the cars from her too. What is she doing with it anyway? Of course, Grandma. Anything for you, Travis replied obediently. Travis, Sarah exclaimed in shock, her hands still on her cheeks. He didn't even seem to care. Come, Grandma, Tracy and I bought something for you, he said, leading Teresa away, leaving Sarah standing there without passing a glance at her. Sarah let the tears fall as she stood there rooted to the spot. Later on, she gathered herself, cleaned her tears up, and began cleaning the living room. Next, she went to the garden, and when she was done, she took the bags of dirty clothes from Teresa's room and started with the laundry. By the time she was done, the living room which she had cleaned was all messy again, and so Sarah cleaned it up again before going to the kitchen to prepare dinner for the whole family. By the time Sarah tried going to her room to rest, the guards walked past her with her stuff. Hey, what are you doing? Who told you to touch my things? Madam Teresa did, ma'am. We are sorry, we are only scared to lose our jobs. One of the men replied. The staff quarters suits you better, Sarah. You are not even a member of this family. Why should you occupy such a big room? Teresa said with a smirk, walking past her. Sarah stepped inside her room, tears filled in her ears as she looked around. All her stuff was gone, all the expensive shoes, her perfume, her jewelry. Teresa had taken all of them, leaving her only with her basic wares. Just like the other times, Sarah let it slide too. She went to check up on her Tracy and Travis, but just like the other days, none of them agreed to speak to her. Travis, please, I know you are in there. Please let me know you guys are fine. We haven't been talking lately. Did Mommy do anything wrong? Just tell me, I'll apologize, Sarah pleaded, knocking on the door for almost 5 minutes. I'm busy, Travis' voice came from inside his ear. Travis, please, Sarah pleaded, but no words came again. She slumped on the floor in tears. What was happening to her kids? What was happening to her family? Whatever this is, God, I know you will see me through. I know you will always see my kids and I, she whispered softly amidst tears. The following days in the house became more of a nightmare for Sarah. Teresa transformed her to a slave. She barely allowed Sarah to eat, woke her up with cold water, and shouted at her at any given opportunity. One particular morning, Sarah laid on the small, thin mattress inside the servants' quarters, unable to wake up. "Sarah, why are you still in bed? Are we keeping you in this house for you to fill in space? Get up from there and go to the market," Teresa shouted angrily, pulling the faded wrapper away from her body. "Mama, please, I'm not feeling too good," Sarah whispered in a shaky voice as she curled herself up. "And how does that concern me? I invited my friends from the village. Who do you think needs to do all the cooking?" she asked. "I see you won't wake up then. Let me go get something to wake you up," Teresa said angrily, going out of the room. Sarah struggled herself out of the room. She didn't need a bucket of water on her body when she was already feeling this shiverish. She took the shopping bag and the list with the money on the living room table and headed for the market. As Sarah stepped inside, she felt her eyes spinning, but she struggled to hold on to something, or rather a young man who was standing beside her. "Are you all right, ma'am?" the man asked, his voice laced with concern as he helped steady her in her feet. "I'm fine, thank you," Sarah replied gently. "Are you sure?" he asked, not convinced. Sarah nodded. She took 2 steps forward, but this time her body failed her, and before she knew what was happening, she passed out. Sarah's eyes slowly opened, and it took a while for her to notice that she was in a hospital. Just as her memories began making sense on how she ended up here, a man in his 40s wearing a white lab coat entered the room and approached. "Good morning, Miss Sarah. I'm Robert, your doctor. How are you feeling this morning?" he asked. Sarah looked at him confused. I don't know. How long have I been here? What happened to me?" she questioned. 3 days you were brought here by some—" "3 days?" Sarah exclaimed, shocked. She hadn't been out of the house for 3 whole days. What about her kids? How were they faring? "I have to go," Sarah hurriedly voiced out, getting out of the bed. "I suggest you rest here, and if you want to go home, please do not go back to the house you came from before ending up in the market," Robert said. "Why do you say so?" Sarah turned to face him. "While you were unconscious, we called the contacts on your phone who we believed were your family members, but they all denied knowing you." Sarah shook her head in refusal. "You must have dialed a wrong number then. My kids, they will never do that to me. I understand how you must be feeling, but that is the reality, Miss Sarah. And there's something you need to know. We also found poison in your body." Sarah's eyes widened. "Poison? What are you saying, doctor?" "We were able to extract it. It's a good thing you were brought here on time, if not it would have been too late." Sarah slumped on the floor, a hand on her chest as she struggled to breathe. More tears prickled down her cheeks. Someone in the house has been poisoning her. What wrong did she do to anyone to deserve this? "My kids, they must be in danger. I have to get them." She quickly stood to her feet. "Okay, if you insist. Let me drop you off. My shift is over and I'm heading home to rest too." Robert replied with a soft smile, seeing how hesitated she looked. Within 15 minutes, Sarah arrived at the mansion, and instead of going, Robert insisted on going with her. "Lucas, what are you doing? Let me inside." "I'm sorry, ma'am, but the bosses instructed us not to let you in." The man replied sincerely, holding her back. Just then, Teresa came out of the house, followed by Tracy and Travis. "You have some nerve coming back here to cause more trouble, Sarah. Didn't you hear what he said? You are no more needed here." Sarah ignored her, running towards her kids. "Kids, let's get out of here. Please, it's not safe," she pleaded, holding their hands, but they were quick to pull it away. "You stole Grandma's money and jewelry. We don't want you in this house again," Travis said angrily. "What? What are you saying?" "Travis, I was the one in the hospital." Sarah cried out, stunned. "It doesn't matter what you say. You heard Grandma. Leave us alone. You are not even our mom, but a mere stranger. Lucas, take her away," Tracy commanded. The security guard looked hesitant, but he gently held Sarah and led her outside the premises. Sarah herself didn't bother fighting again. Her heart was now in pieces. Tracy's words had left her in a more than shocked state that she didn't feel in anything else around her. All she had was continuous tears flowing down her eyes. Seeing the state Sarah was in, Robert offered to take her to his house for a few days. When they got to Robert's house, Robert showed Sarah the guest room before excusing himself to give her some space. 3 days passed and Sarah failed to regain herself. She remained inside the guest room, staring at nothing in particular, but tears never stopped coming. Even though she didn't understand what was happening and felt hurt with Tracy and Travis's words, she was deeply worried about their safety. Robert, on his side, even when he went to work, he made sure the maids were always available to give Sarah food and any other thing she might need without making her uncomfortable. One evening after coming back from work, he took some food with him for Sarah, heading to her room, but rather found her at the garden area. He thought she wouldn't notice him as she was lost in thoughts, but when he got closer, Sarah turned her eyes to him with a gentle smile. "I'm glad you came out of your room," Robert softly joked. Sarah only chuckled slightly. "I haven't thanked you enough for your help, Dr. Robert. You barely know me yet you took me in," she said. Robert took a seat opposite her, gently placing the tray on the table. "I usually help people. I mean, it's in my nature and profession, but with you, it felt different. Like something was calling me out to you," Robert explained. "I'm curious, though," Sarah's brows twisted softly. "If it doesn't make you uncomfortable, how come a kind and successful man like you lives all alone? Is there a reason behind it?" Robert nodded gently. "I didn't plan to end up this way, actually. I used to have this lady whom I dreamt of spending the rest of my with. We were going to get married, but she found out my parents had engaged to someone else, then she disappeared. I didn't know about the engagement, trust me. I tried to find her, but she was nowhere to be found, and so I never got married to anyone else, nor had any kids." "That must be sad," Sarah whispered. "It was. But I got used to being satisfied with just my job." "What about you?" he asked. "I always had my kids. They were always enough for me," Sarah replied with a faint smile. Robert felt the sadness in her voice. "I can tell how much you love those kids, and I'm sure everything will be all right. Now go. I bought the food for you," Robert said, gesturing to the food on the table. Sarah whispered a thank you and started eating. "A friend of mine will be paying us a visit today. He's a priest." "A priest?" Sarah asked, confused. Robert nodded. "I believe there's something more than the ordinary going on with your family." A few minutes later, one of the workers came to announce the arrival of the guest. "David, it's nice to see you again, my friend. This is Sarah," Robert said to the priest with a hand gestured towards Sarah. "It's nice to meet you, Miss Sarah. Robert here told me what's happening in your family," the priest said, exchanging a handshake with Sarah. "The pleasure is mine, sir." "Do you have a photo of your kids?" the priest asked. "Yes, sir," Sarah replied quickly, handing over her phone to the priest. He looked at the photo of Travis and Tracy for a while, then meditating for some minutes, he stated. The old lady gave them something to drink. Sarah's eyes widened. "You mean Teresa?" she asked. "She came with an ulterior motive. She's the reason why your children hate you now. You are one lucky woman. If not of God being on your side, you would have died within 2 days after eating the poison she had fed you with." Sarah's body shook with rage, her hands folding into a fist. She had suspected she had a hand in what was happening, but didn't know Teresa went this far. "I was so stupid to let her in. I considered the fact that she was the kid's grandmother and Sandra's mom, and this is how she shows her gratitude." "Sandra? Who's Sandra?" Robert asked, suddenly intrigued at the familiar name. "She's the biological mother of the twins. She was a friend of mine." "Was it just a coincidence?" Robert asked inwardly. The priest directed his gaze to Robert. "She's the same woman you wanted to marry years ago. You should get a DNA test done, my friend. You will no longer live alone." "I don't get it." "What's happening?" Sarah asked, looking between the two men. "I have to leave now as there's something important I need to do in the parish. I hope you can understand the situation, Miss Sarah," the priest said before leaving them alone. "So you are the kid's biological father? You were the person responsible for Sandra's pregnancy?" Sarah asked, unsure. "Believe me, Sarah, I didn't know she was pregnant. She left without a word. I tried to look for her, but she just disappeared." "That's because she died," Sarah shouted angrily, losing her cool. "She died while giving birth to the twins, and you were nowhere to be found." Robert tried to get close to her, but Sarah wouldn't let him. "Please, I had no idea." "Do you know what Sandra went through? Do you know what the kids went through? They were abandoned at such a young age. Nobody wanted them, not even Sandra's own family. I went through hell raising those kids while you went on with your life unperturbed." Sarah flared out again. Robert bowed his head in shame. I'm sorry about what you and the kids went through, but that is over now. I'm here to make amends. I will make sure you and the kids don't go through that life again. It's too late now, Sarah sharply cut him. We survived without you. We won't die now because you are here. Sarah, please, hear me out, Robert pleaded, but Sarah, too angry, walked past him without looking back. The next morning, Sarah left Robert's mansion before any of the workers could see her. Her heart was still heavy with last evening's discovery. She tried to understand Robert. She wanted to understand the situation, but it was very painful to do so. When she arrived at the mansion, everywhere was quiet. The security didn't bother stopping her like the other time. Mom, Tracy and Travis called, running towards her the moment they saw her enter the living room. Sarah wrapped her arms around her kids in a tight embrace. God knows I'm happy to see you guys are doing all right. Tracy and Travis broke into uncontrollable tears. I'm sorry, Mum. I remember all that I said to you. I don't know what happened. I don't know how I could have ever uttered such words to you. Please forgive me, Mum. I'm truly sorry, Tracy said. Me too, Mum. We've hurt you so much. Please don't leave us. Punish us however you want. Travis added. Sarah smiled at their words. I'm not mad at you guys. I'll never find it in myself to gate you kids, but I'm happy to see us together again. That is enough for me. Thank you, Mom, they said, hugging Sarah again as if afraid to let her go. Travis then pulled back to look at her. About Grandma. She ran out of the house yesterday night before we could stop her. It seemed like she wasn't in her right senses. Like she's mad. Do not worry about her. God has vindicated us. Let him decide what to do with her. Sarah replied gently. As the twins continued to hug and snuggle her, the door suddenly burst open and Robert came running. Sarah, I'm glad you are all right. You left without a word, he said, worry evident in his tone and face. Mom? Travis called his mother's attention. Who's he? He asked. The man's face felt familiar. Sarah looked at the kids, then back at Robert. She didn't know how to break the news to them. How would they welcome it? He's someone important. He's your biological father, Sarah softly informed. Tracy and Travis stood rooted to the spot. There was no reaction from them, except anger, hate, pain, and so much more. Robert didn't know how to begin explaining himself. He was too ashamed standing in front of them. I didn't have any idea you Mum was pregnant when she left, Robert began. I blame no one but my own self. If I had looked more and not given up on finding her, then maybe you wouldn't have gone through that hardship. I'm sorry about everything, for not being there for you two when you needed me. Travis looked at the man standing in front of him, and before he could say a word, Sarah gently held his hands and that of Tracy. Kids, she called. I know more than anyone else. This is very painful and a lot to take in, but I assure you Robert is a good man. I have no doubt that he could have been a good father if he knew you two existed. Everyone deserves a second chance, but I'm not going to force you or anything. He also saved my life. He's the reason why I'm standing here with you today. Travis and Tracy looked at Robert again, but this time their eyes softened, and they rushed towards Robert, catching him in a surprise hug that left him in tears. Forgive me for letting you down, Robert whispered amidst tears. It's all right, Dad. We forgive you already, Tracy whispered with a smile as they continued to hug. Sarah stood by the side, watching with her heart full. I guess we have a party then. Tracy, come help me out in the kitchen. Let's make something for us. She replied, heading to the kitchen, but Robert was quick to stop her with a hold of her hand. Nope, no cooking for today. We are going to order everything we need. You need to rest, Sarah. You haven't fully recovered. Sarah rolled her eyes playfully. Yes, doctor, she said. Later that evening, while Tracy and Travis sat inside the living room watching their favorite TV show, Robert and Sarah sat in the garden enjoying the calmness and beauty of the stars. Then Sarah looked at Robert and said, I have always wondered where the kids got their talent from. Now I know it came from you. Robert and the twins had spent almost the entire day singing songs together. Robert chuckled lightly. They are far more gifted compared to me. It was my dream to become an artist, but my parents wanted me to become a medical doctor. I'm glad you were there to guide and show them the right path, Sarah. Thank you for everything, Robert replied, voice melting with appreciation. They are my kids too. No need to thank me, I have never regretted having them, and I never would. Sarah softly answered back. For a while none of them uttered another word, then Robert closed the distance between them and held Sarah's hands. You are a lady with a heart of gold, Sarah. You are beautiful in and out. I love you, quotation mark. Sarah's cheeks turned a slight red color. I love you too, Roberts. Robert held her closer to himself and placed a kiss on her lips. 3 months later, in the presence of a priest, the twins and other special guests, Sarah and Robert stood beside the other, vowing to spend their lives with each other for eternity. The end. Dear family, what lessons did you take from this story? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to tell us where you are watching from. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Please check out the link to the first part of this story in the description box. Do not forget to check out other stories too. This is Lenie again. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.